Alright everyone, we're talking Blitzball today. You know Blitzball, the infamous water sport of Final Fantasy X. A game considered by many to be near perfect, yet in all the discourse surrounding the game, I don't think I ever hear anyone talk about Blitzball. Which is really weird to me because that game's narratives and themes couldn't exist without it. How so? Well, let's dive in and blitz off. The first and most obvious connection is water. Water is the biggest motif of Final Fantasy X, like the island geography, Sin rising from the ocean, Yuna's sending ritual, the wave-like iconography, the Sword Brotherhood, and Tidus' name intentionally derived from the base word, tide. So, obviously, a sport that's played entirely underwater is going to be thematically resonant with the rest of the story. It's said that Blitzball's over 1,000 years old, and that's because in Spira, Blitzball seems to be the only source of entertainment, because the threat of sin is so omnipresent that people of Spira live in a constant state of fear, and the only relief from that is Blitzball. Made even more apparent that the only city besides Bevelle that's been allowed to progress and grow is Luca, which just so happens to be the host of the Blitzball tournament. And as we all know, this is intentional, because Blitzball was appropriated into the spirituality of Spira through Yevon. The fact that to pray to Yevon and to essentially say victory in Blitzball is the same hand gesture. Which is why Sin never attacks Luca and Bevelle, so wait, spoilers? Whatever, this game's like over 10 years old. Since Yevon created Sin, Blitzball has since become an extension of Yevon's control over the people of Spira. So in what essentially is a theocracy, Blitzball's been taken and turned into a manipulating sense of joy for the characters of Final Fantasy X, which is why characters like Jecht, Tidus, and Wakka place their whole sense of worth and ability into this game, because it's as heavily ingrained into them as their religion and why this game becomes the pinnacle moment of growth for their characters. That's why Blitzball isn't all bad. If anything, the first scenes that connect Tidus to Wakka and Spira as a whole is this universal love of the game. And I think by Tidus being an outsider, he can see through the cruel ways Yevon uses it to control people. And it gives him some agency in this world that clearly isn't his own. It's no coincidence that another narrative of this game deals with carving your own path, and Tidus does so through Blitzball. And of course, some of this is debatably canon, but Tidus can learn the Jecht shot and win the tournament with the Besaid Aurochs. In my headcanon, both these things happen because ultimately what it accomplishes is growth for Tidus. As we know, Blitzball to Tidus has always been tarnished by Jecht. Jecht bullied and insulted Tidus to no end because of his fame and skill at the game. Inevitably, this caused Tidus to feel insecure and trapped within his father's shadow. You know, like Yuna and her father. However, by learning his dad's shot and winning with a team that had no chances proves that he's grown. Even if you don't consider it canon, Tidus still taking himself out of the game to give Wakka one more chance to play shows how he's become less narcissistic and more selfless.
To be honest, I did kind of feel left out, but it really was the Oryx and Wakka show after all.
And for Wakka, this game allows him to move past the trauma of his brother's death, and while that concept isn't anything conceptually new, the fact that Blitzball is a sport and appears relatively trivial, it means Wakka was allowed to ignore it, and he could have continued to. But he chooses not to and actively grows through his active character decision. Just like how Yevon controlled Blitzball, so did Jecht. Yet, regardless, Tidus' whole journey is to overcome the trauma instilled in him by his father. He manages to win through a team that he found and trained himself, or he just learned to appreciate playing the game and not let the goal of winning take away from Wakka or the Besaid Aurochs' enjoyment as a whole. Which is confirmed when he does the Jecht shot Mark III, and instead of boasting, he simply responds,
Doesn't have a name. Anyone can do it if they try.
Which, in a game all about self-grandizing, idolizing, meeting expectations, and this constant bombardment of indoctrination for the betterment of society, i.e. Yuna's pilgrimage, i.e. Jecht becoming Sin, all that is about how this mindset is horribly flawed and accomplishes very little in the long run. And that's my point. Blitzball is an integral part of the story of Final Fantasy X, both as a story beat but as a well-sketched out piece of world building that effectively serves to outline their character's purpose and enhance the themes and struggles that the narrative as a whole is challenging. That challenge being overcoming your past and how larger institutions take advantage of where you derive purpose. which is honestly asking a lot from what is just a glorified minigame. but its influence is everywhere in the game. Tidus and Yuna share their first kiss swimming underwater, or Tidus' even strongest limit break. And most importantly, it's actually fun to play. Trading players, planning out moves, and scoring goals. It all just feels and moves and as you'd expect underwater soccer to. Except when Keepa has missed that fourth goal in a row. But anyway, that's all I got. Thank you for watching and sharing, and I'll see you next time.